I have this distinct pleasure of introducing David Riepenhoff, class of 1999. I am Scott Arthur, class of 1999, and I had the pleasure of meeting David almost 14 years ago, and that just sounds like I'm old. I met him through our time at Pi Kappa Phi Country Club fraternity, and we were brothers together, and we kind of ran in a little bit different circles. He was the track and cross country, and I was more of the tennis guy. But I got to know David through those years. But it wasn't until after we graduated that I really my respect and my admiration of him has just grown dramatically. So after we graduated in 1999, we really didn't see much of each other. I moved up to Cleveland and then had a good opportunity at Mayo Clinic, and we moved to Rochester, Minnesota for 4 or 5 years. But it wasn't until I was in Minnesota where I got an opportunity to work at Nationwide Children's that the name David Riepenhoff came back into my life. And I was online as I was researching this opportunity, and I found out that Dave Riepenhoff was in charge of our development board. The development board is a group of young professionals, and it's a large group of 175 professionals, and they raise over $700,000 for Nationwide Children's Hospital. But what I had come to find out, because of my role in the foundation at Nationwide, is just the amount of impact that Dave personally made in this organization. I get to work with the staff that staff the development board, and from what the development board was before Dave and what it is today, it's night and day. The thing that I really want to stress about Dave is not just his leadership, but it's also his humility. I had the chance to run with him in the mornings, and we started talking about business and things like that. And with Dave and his volunteer work, it's really not about him. It's about empowering other people. And whenever we were talking about different programs, he would be the first to say, well, this person was really in charge of that, and they really deserve the credit. And just the self-confidence, the maturity to be able to do that type of leadership is stunning. And I really learned a lot from him. He doesn't know this one story is we are forecasting for the future, for forecasting our fundraising success. And it was the CEO, Dr. Allen, of the Children's Hospital, the CFO, Tim Robinson, and myself. And we were just talking about the future. And Tim Robinson said, I don't know how much we can count on the development board as it was in the past because Dave Riepenhoff isn't in charge. And to know Tim Robinson and for that to come out of that person's mouth really says a lot. So please join me in congratulating David Riepenhoff, class of 1999, for the Community Engagement Award.
Geez, thank you, Scott. You make me nervous. I'm also a little nervous because one of my students came up to me right beforehand and said, Professor Riepenhoff, good to see you. So I don't know what she's going to tell the rest of the class on Tuesday when I get back. Thank you again, Scott. Scott's become a really good friend while I've been serving on the development board. And I've come to really admire what he does in his professional role. And I don't see him as somebody who has a job, but more somebody who just loves what they do and what he accomplishes. Thank you also to Otterbein and the Alumni Committee. Scott, I'm not sure what lies you told about me in the nomination form, but I'm glad the Alumni Committee bought it. And Kara, it's been good getting to know you, and it's impressive to see what you organized here tonight. And I'll thank some other people here in a minute, but I want to tell you a little story from the Development Board. One of my favorite stories from my time volunteering for the hospital. Scott said we have about 175 volunteers. We get involved in various ways. We're all pretty much fundraisers at the heart, but we also get involved with giving our time to support the mission of Children's Hospital. One of the things I've had an opportunity to do is to staff on the Admitting Gift Cart program. It's this really colorful toy cart of toys and puzzles and games that we push around the hospital, all the floors of the hospital, for a couple hours, a couple times a month, and let newly admitted patients pick out a toy. I remember a couple years ago when I first started on the gift cart, I went into the pediatric oncology division of a newly admitted patient who was suffering from cancer. And I walked into her room, and she had lost her hair. She was obviously feeling pretty down. And I pushed this cart into this dimly lit room, and it was in the evening after work hours. The mom had clearly got off work, and she was sitting on the side, by the side of the bed, sort of stoically. And And as soon as the cart popped into the room, that girl popped out of bed like you wouldn't believe. I couldn't believe her energy as she ran up to this toy cart. She must have been 6 or 7 or 8 years old, and ruffled through all the toys, picked the one she wanted, grabbed it by 2 hands, and turned back to her mom and hopped up in bed. Her mom just smiled, a kind smile, and I start to back this gift card out of the room, and her mom just says to me, "Thank you." That's the first time she smiled in a week. What we gave her was a $3 toy. But really, as I think about it, I think what volunteers give our community are hope, a little bit of compassion, some change, sometimes a little bit of pain management, alternative medicine maybe. And if we can give a $3 toy and a little bit of our time, what about selling a $5 rubber duck to race down on side of the river in Columbus? What's that going to do? Or a $20 ticket to a pizza buffet, or a $500 bowling team for your company, or a $3,000 golf team for one of the premier golf events in the community. Boards like the Development Board raise millions of dollars for our hospital system, the nationwide children's hospital system, for pediatric research, for child abuse treatment and prevention programs, for the Admitting Gift Cart, one of my favorites, for a variety of grants. And this is just a board of volunteers, of people like you and me, who understand that because of their collegiate education, like from Otterbein and other institutions, that we're not just professionals, we're not on an island. We're members of a larger community, and we have a responsibility to that community. I got on the board because of Otterbein. I was telling Dr. Prindle, my advisor when I was in college here earlier tonight, that a gentleman by the name of Brian Moore, who's a fellow alumni, and I were having lunch when we were out in business after a couple of years, and he said, "Hey Dave, I think we really need to get involved in the community more." And I said, "Hey Brian, what do you have in mind?" Of course, the Development Board came up. We joined, and history has it I'd stay on for a while. When it came time for me to start to nominate people, the first people I thought of were my good friends from Otterbein. One of them or two of them joined the Development Board. One of them here tonight thinks she beat my record from Rock and Bowl. When I was the chair of Rock and Bowl, she was later the chair and raised more money than I did. I'm proud to say that's true. Maybe the first time I admitted that, Janine. And then I learned that other people from Otterbein were heavily involved with the Development Board. I saw Patty Holbein in the business office at an annual meeting. And then, of course, I was so proud to learn in 2012 when I became president of the board, executives of the hospital came running up to me and said, "Hey, Dave, Scott Arthur, your friend from Otterbein, he just got appointed to be the vice president of constituent giving for the Children's Hospital Foundation." And I was floored. I know Scott, and I wasn't surprised about him or his capabilities, but I certainly was very proud. I'd like to express my gratitude and my thanks for the hospital leadership and buying into the vision that the Development Board members have to help support that great institution. To the Development Board members themselves for their vision and their heart. To my law partners who supported me throughout all my time on the Development Board. Dr. Prindle, you're an inspiration as an advisor. Just the enthusiasm that Dr. Prindle shows towards his advisors it just inspires you to do more. Dr. Eskew and the business department for not being too concerned that I'm corrupting the minds of our future leaders teaching class here at Otterbein in the business program. President Crendel for your continued leadership in advancing the mission and the core values of Otterbein. To my Otterbein friends, some of the best people on earth. To my siblings who are just awesome. And especially to my mom and dad. Mom and dad are quiet, unassuming people who lead with the most powerful form of leadership, they lead by example. And throughout my childhood, I grew up in a family of 4 children, and throughout my childhood, they demonstrated that, and they demonstrated social responsibility just through their actions and getting involved with various community movements and supporting the community. And they only demanded one thing of me if I really was being honest, and that was just do your best. So thank you, Mom and Dad, and thank you for leading me to Otterbein. And lastly, to Emily, my lovely wife from the class of '98, Emily Cotton, you may know her as if you don't know me. Emily has been an inspiration, my most trusted advisor, sometimes my mental health counselor, particularly last year when the Development Board seemed like a second full-time job. My biggest supporter, my favorite role model, the person who believes in me the most, and I want to thank her for being who she is. And thank Otterbein for not teaching students just to be professionals, but to be successful personally as well. So please, when you go out into the community, understand that don't see the $3 piece of plastic toy. See the smile on the girl's face. Allow yourself to believe in something greater than who you are. Allow yourself to be inspired by the people around you, and always allow yourself to do your best. Thank you.